Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today, we're concluding Spare Us. That's right, we're going to read through these last few chapters, and once again, I happen to have Harry here with me. Harry, why don't you tell him a little bit about your favorite channel on YouTube besides this one?
My favorite channel is Sir Dr. Bad Vibes on YouTube. He plays video games, and I like the bright lights and blinky noises. It's very entertaining. You should check it out. Dr. Bad Vibes on YouTube.
Funny side note, Jay doesn't even know this. I keep getting comments of people, that are just now starting to catch the recaps, and they're saying, whose voice is that? Is that Harry's voice? So I think your voice, you doing Harry now, that's what we all hear in our heads. And people think I have the real Harry on my show here.
No, just really Harry.
Oh my God. All right, so we are going to start on chapter 51 and finish out the book. Not much more to go. So I am loving this book, and I have laughed my way all the way through it. I will say the ending just kind of ends. I was actually hoping for more making fun of Megan jokes, but that's okay. We'll have the best time with it. We'll have Harry give his thought. Well, I'm saying thoughts plural, his thought. And if I can get him to stop being crayons, I'll get him to give his thought. And but next, guys, we are going to jump into our king. So pick up a copy. If you're here in America, I'm having trouble getting the physical copy, but I did see that it is on Kindle, and I believe I saw that it hits Audible soon. I might be confusing books, but anyway, so pick up a copy, and we will deep dive into that probably starting Monday, I would assume. So without further ado, let's finish up Spare Us. And this time I have Miserable Couple Edition. Don't worry, I plan on making a separate video going into the Miserable Couple, but for now, we'll just have that as our background as we read through Spare Us. I thought it was fitting since we're bringing in Megan into this part of the book. All right, so chapter 51. Remember, he and Megan had just started dating, and then they decided to go to Botswana. Harry, why don't you tell us what it was like with you and Smeg in Botswana?
Chapter 51. Megan cooed and yelped in delight as the jeep drove past wonderful sights on every side. A pair of elephants mating, 2 giraffes getting it on, a couple of crocodiles knocking boots, impalas impaling each other. It's just so full of life and love, she said, staring deeply into my eyes. At night, we lay side by side listening to the animals on the plain outside as they came near the tent. I can see you love Africa, she said. I do, I agreed. There's something about seeing these majestic beasts ripping each other to shreds and fighting over corpses that just reminds me of home. The whole week-long trip was just what we both needed, a marvelous piece of body fun.
Wow, Harry, that was a lot. So then we go into chapter 52, and Megan is, quote, being harassed by a sequence of aggressive men. How is she harassed, you ask? He writes about one lone photographer following her down the street saying, give us a smile. And then, of course, Harry way overreacts and says, it's obnoxious, intrusive, inhumane, and cruel. And she was in tears. See, again, the author missed the opportunity. He should have said she was in tears on the floor, because that seems to be her thing. All right. So then I'm going to combine 53 and 54 because, again, these are very short, so there's not much to them. Basically, he flashes back and thinks about when his Burger Paw, as he calls them, got engaged to Camilla and, the approval process for that. And then in 54, he goes into his approval process of trying to get engaged to Megan. Harry, can you tell us what it was like?
Chapter 54. I decided that it was time to pop the question with Megan. To my amazement, I was told I had to ask Granny's permission before proposing. Really? Well, yes. But really, though? Yes. Stop saying really. I picked my moment carefully. One rarely gets the chance to be alone with Granny. It was on a hunting afternoon at Balmoral that I finally saw my chance. I pounced. I was short of words. My mouth was dry. But eventually I got it out. So you see, I have to ask your permission, Granny. May I have it? She glanced at me with a twinkle in her eyes and an unreadable expression. For a moment my whole universe stopped moving. I couldn't breathe. Finally, she picked her nose, flicked the bogey away, and in distinctive Cockney bass, which is her true voice when she's away from the camera, said,
"Fill your fucking bullseye. See if I get 2 shits."
and let out a burp that would shatter bone china from the opposite side of a football pitch. Then she turned away, calling the dogs after her.
Side note, we love Her Majesty the Queen. You know that. We're just reading the words from this author, but that was a pretty bang on impression there, Harry. All right, so then we get into chapter 55 and 56. He goes to Courtney Cox's place. He finds some substances, and things get interesting. Harry, why don't you tell us what happened when you went to Courtney Cox's house?
Chapter 56. In recent times, I had begun experimenting with hallucinogens, first for fun, then for their therapeutic value. I happened to take a dose with a friend while I was at a party at Courtney Cox's house. After a while, I could feel the effects starting, so I excused myself to the bathroom to take a moment's privacy. "Hello, Harry," said the toilet. "What? Are you talking to me? Really?" "I am," said the toilet. "What do you want to know?" "I want to know why everyone is so hard on me, Mr. Toilet," I said. "Please, Harry," said the toilet. "Mr. Toilet is my father. You can call me Lou." "Oh, right." "That's just a piece of toilet humor right there," said the toilet. "I can't believe this is happening," I said. "Well, it isn't, but try to enjoy it anyway. My answer to your question, though, Harry, is that you ignored all the advice of your family members and engaged with the press. They were intrusive, of course they were, and their behavior was undoubtedly disgusting. But as you admit, your own father had suffered very similar press intrusion when he was a young man. And by sticking to his guns, he pulled through and played the long game."
You guys, when I read that part, I could not stop laughing. That toilet conversation and the "you can call me Lou." But also, did anybody else think Jay's toilet impersonation kind of sounded like, what's his name, Squidward from SpongeBob? Nailed it. All right. And then chapter 57, he has his stag do. Harry, what happened at your stag do?
Chapter 57. When the time came close for our wedding, there were of course certain important formal rituals to be observed. First and foremost was a stag do. I can't quite recall the thoughtful planning and conversations that preceded it. But all of a sudden there I was, dressed as a chicken, having fireworks aimed at me by a bunch of drunk aristocrats. It was incredibly moving. The chicken costume, of course, represented Megan's and my shared favorite food, chicken. I could still hardly believe people from such different backgrounds shared such eclectic taste. Why did the chicken cross the pond? To escape getting a horrible firework up his arse, that's why.
All right. Then we go into chapter 58. There were difficulties between the wives. And Harry, do you care to tell us a little bit about that? So chapter 58, he goes into that he and Willie had had some squabbles. And there's a funny scene. Why don't you tell us what happened when you talked to Willie?
One time, I admitted to him that I felt our mother was still out there, watching over us. I felt vulnerable saying it, feeling he might mock me. But he said he felt it too. "She's there, Willie, guiding us, helping us. I feel it." He agreed. "I think she helped me find Megan, too," I said. "No, Harry," he said. "That's just bollocks."
Ooh, I love that you turned William into Sean Connery, Miss Moneypenny.
"Why, hello there, Miss Moneypenny."
So then we go into chapter 59. He is saying that times were tough, that the press was mean, and they were saying things like that she was arrogantly friendly and she had sly competence, things like that. Like nothing really that bad. And of course, he couldn't tolerate it. He found it impossible and had no other choice but to leave the country. Then we go into chapter 60, where he claims all he wanted to do was work and be active and spread the message. What message? We don't know. And again, it's funny on the heels of finding out they do 1 hour of work a week, I think it was, for Archwell. But again, it's very vague as to what their message is and what it is that they're trying to do. They just keep repeating they're going to raise awareness. As to what, they don't know. They just, again, good job raising awareness. I've sufficiently raised awareness. And then we get to chapter 61, and unfortunately it comes to blows between Harry and William. And Harry, why don't you tell us what happened there?
It seemed to come out of the blue. Willie just turned up at my house one day and said we needed to talk. As always, when we argued, neither of us listened to the other. The row grew fiercer and fiercer, until all of a sudden he grabbed my shirt collar and ripped it. I tottered, fell, and cracked the dog bowl with my back. He stood over me, breathing hard. It had never come to this before. It was a new frontier for us adults. Physical battery.
I'm the one that gets to support charities to do with domestic violence.
He roared, snorting with rage.
Just butt out. I get to support hippos and lions in Africa too. Find your own bloody little charities to support. Human trafficking or something.
He was right after all. I had been human trafficking for a long time, that is. Trafficking in human misery. My own misery. Perhaps it was time to offer myself a little charity.
Hey, so, narrator's note. I don't know much about William. I know he's alright. I have no idea what he sounds like, so he gets to be Sean Connery for this. Plus, we know that we have a lot of you from Scotland in the comments, so, treat?
All right, and then we get to the last chapter. We're on chapter 62. Harry, why don't you wrap up this book for us and tell us what this last part of the book is about?
At last, Megan and I had a family around us, and had made a home that was warm and full of love. For our new life was to be in California, where famous people are allowed to live in peace, and not mercilessly ripped to shreds, and then dispensed with by a shallow, fast-turning media cycle. Certainly not. Plus, weed is legal here. So this particular royal weed, having plucked himself out of the poisoned regal rose garden, will replant himself again, and grow. With his little family buds growing off his main shoot, adoring the life-giving Californian sun, the rich, virgin soil, ripe tomatoes on the vine, cilantro, arugula. Shit, I could kill a burrito right now. What was I thinking about again? Yes, Megan, I've put it out. Coming.
And that's how the book ends. I love that he's most excited about the weed in California. And also, I have to give Jay a huge thank you and round of applause because I love his high Harry voice. That was pretty great. But yeah, that's it for the book. So like I say, we will be diving into our king next, and I'm super excited about him. Hearing it's juicy. So we'll plan to start that Monday. That way I'll give you time to start reading into it and get the book if you decide to, that sort of thing. So definitely grab that, and we'll start our reviews up soon. But I still have other videos going up in the meantime. But Jay, tell everybody where they can, Prince Harry, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me in my secret garden, harvesting the green crops, while also watching Dr. Bad Vibes on Twitch and YouTube.
Why, thank you, Prince Harry. So yes, you can find me, Jay, on YouTube and Twitch as Dr. Bad Vibes. And if you need me to narrate an audiobook for you, have your people call my people. Thank you.
Question, is your people Sean Connery? Because you kind of slipped back into that quite a bit too.
Actually, this is Sean Connery himself, the real deal. I am in the afterlife, watching Dr. Bad Vibes on YouTube. Watch it. Thank you.
Oh, this book was so silly. Again, I hope we did it justice. I didn't realize how hard it was to recap a parody book because the jokes are in the way that he writes it. So hopefully we did it justice. But as always, we love your comments. We appreciate you tagging along with us or joining us on this journey, however you want to say that. And I can't wait to dive into the next book. I will definitely have Jay come back and give us some of Harry's thoughts along the way on the next book. But anyway, guys, as always, we so appreciate all the love and support. If you want to further support the show, I do encourage you to check out my Patreon. I do a lot of extra content over there, deep dives, lots of fun stuff. I even cover episodes of Sex and the City if that's your jam, but a lot of Harry and Meghan stuff. So check that out. It's patreon.com/Real Housewives Recaps. That's where you can become an executive producer. I'd like to thank my executive producers so much for all the support. So I'm going to read your names, and if you want to become one, check it out on patreon.com. All right, a huge thank you to Linda. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Paige. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you to Mary. Thank you to Amy. Thank you, Mr. K. Thank you, Kay. Thank you to Shauna and to Brenda. Thank you, Aaron and Frank. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Ann M. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Ann H. Thank you, Karen. Thank you to Corey. Thank you to Glennis. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Dewey. Thank you to Patty. Thank you to Adair Becker. Thank you to Erica. Thank you, Amber. Thank you to Annette, to Barb G. Thank you, Diana LOL. Thank you, Allison B. Thank you, Jean. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Pauline. Thank you, KT. Thank you, Jolene. Thank you, Stromboli. Thank you to Catherine. Thank you to Loie. Thank you to Lucy H. Thank you to Georgia. Thank you, Susie. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Robin's Landing. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Mara. Thank you, Ashley C. Thank you, Molly. Thank you to Amber. Thank you to Ashley. Thank you to Amanda. Thank you to Michelle. Thank you, Sansquid. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you to Dee Dee. Thank you to Nina. Thank you to Heather. Thank you to Tracy. Thank you, Penny. And thank you, Domby. Thank you, Andrea. And thank you to S. So if you would like your name shouted out and as an executive producer, check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Real Housewives Recaps. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Can't wait to bring you the next part of Spare Us. Take care. Bye-bye.